What is up, people? Hope you're having an awesome Thursday. Today is Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. Holla. But anyway, I wanted to make this video. It really isn't easy to talk about, but it is something that I know that I need to share with you guys. And for those of you who have heard my story before, I want to share that again. But really, the part of my story that not a lot of people know about. So I'm literally just going to start from the beginning and roll with this. Give me some hearts and thumbs up so I know that you guys are watching. We got a good connection because it said connection was weak. But anyway, 7 years ago, I was 100 pounds skin and bones, super heavily medicated for ADD, ADHD. I had sleep apnea, allergies, asthma, breathing treatments, inhalers. I was suicidal and depressed deep down inside. I was a different person with my friends and people that I knew, but I was extremely crippled with shyness. I'm talking, my hands would start shaking, I would start sweating if I had to, talk in front of other people or what the heck ever. And that's how I grew up. My routine was I'd get up, take pills, go to school, and literally just shut out everything and try not to get too involved. I mean, I was a zombie, and then I would come home and escape and play video games. I didn't do sports, I'm an artist, so that was another escape for me. And I had a few friends that I hung out with, and we'd hang out with each other, on weekends and stuff like that. Well, one of them joined the wrestling team, so obviously he started to bulk up, gain muscle mass, all that stuff. Well, we'd get together, he'd want to wrestle, like, he was pinning me down like it was nothing. Guys, I'm telling you, I was skin and bones. You don't know. It was sad, and I kind of just put up with it for a really long time. And that's all I knew was how to be shy. I thought, like, I got picked on in every sense of the word, and just kind of dealt with it. Mom, I'm a kid artist. I literally just dealt with that and accepted it almost. I was like, okay, this is how it's supposed to be. And one day, I don't know if it was the compound of so much for so long, but something in my head snapped and I said, no more. I can't live another second like this. And when I made that decision, my whole life changed. I didn't know what I was doing. It wasn't about gaining muscle mass, guys. It wasn't about even getting healthy. I just knew I couldn't live like I was living anymore. And so I tried absolutely anything to change that. And so that's when I started P90X. I started just moving. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I didn't even start eating clean. I just, with all the intensity that I had, I just started moving and trying desperately to change my life. And again, it wasn't about the muscle. So I started, like, day one, right? I'm doing push-ups on my knees. Guys, I was maxing out at 3 reps. Like, that's pretty pathetic. But I kept showing up, and it's a 3-month program. It took me like 6 months to finish it. But at the end, I finished it, and my confidence was up, and by that time I had started to dive a little bit more into nutrition, and I was like, let's see how far I can take this if I gave this everything that I had. And so I did, and I know my mom's watching this. Sorry, Mom, but you already know. I just stopped taking all my medicine. I started medicating myself through nutrition and with exercise. And also by that time, I started to work on my mindset. I got started with Beachbody, and they put a huge focus on the mentality and the mindset behind things. And so I started personal development and working on myself. I started learning business skills. My confidence had increased, like I had a girlfriend now, like things were rolling, you know what I'm saying? And I haven't taken a pill for anything since, and that's besides the point, but I got to another level where people were asking me for advice, and that gave me a sense of purpose. And then I started to work on myself, and I became extremely self-aware at a very young age of what I was doing and what was going on. And it was because of all the personal development that I was doing and how I was working on myself. And so my energy's going up, and all this stuff is happening, and then I hit a breakup with my ex-fiance, and that was that took me back to that suicidal spot because I had lost myself, and it was a struggle to get out of even that, and that was a journey in and of itself to find myself again and be okay with that. And really what I wanted to do. You know, by that time I had started college. I had a ride to the Art Institute out in Nashville, and for one single painting that I did, they gave me a huge scholarship for it. I ended up turning it down last second to go into exercise sports science because I wanted to follow my passions, and that was health and fitness. It wasn't with art anymore. Even though I was a gifted artist, I was like, you know, I can learn how to be a good trainer. That's what I want to do. I want to be impactful somehow. So I made a crazy rash decision and didn't do that, and I went with fitness. And then I did the college thing for a little bit and found out it wasn't for me. And by that time I was picking up group fitness classes, and I got certified. This is a story in and of itself. So I was still kind of dealing with my shyness. I wouldn't just go up and talk to a stranger, but I was helping people out in their health and fitness. A lot of it was online, and this certification came out, and I was like, what if I could do group fitness? That'd be kind of cool. And I just kind of like just went and did it. I got the certification, and cleaning my room one day, like I went out of town for a weekend to get certified in this thing. Cleaning my room one day, realized that it's 6 months later and I haven't done anything with it. That kind of pissed me off. So I'm like, you know what? I need to do something with this. So I reached out to all the gyms in the area. I didn't even know where they were because I was working out at home, and applied for group fitness instructing. And my very first class I ever taught was at the Germantown Athletic Club in Germantown, Tennessee. And it was a sub because I was on for the next month on the calendar. Well, they had asked other instructors to cover the class, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I can do it. And then I'm like, oh, cool, it's a boot camp class. Just come up with anything. So I made this format for the boot camp class, and I show up, and I'll never forget it. It was like a giant basketball court, you know, with the track that runs around the top of it. And so I'm walking into the center because that's where I was supposed to be standing. I'm turning my music on, got my headset on, getting ready, and I start shaking. I didn't know, like I'm getting nervous, my palms are sweating, you know what I'm talking about, and I'm like, oh God, what is about to happen? And more people keep showing up, and I'm not talking to anybody at this point. You know, they're kind of lining up around the sides, talking to each other, and my heart's pounding through my chest. And then, I don't remember what time it was, say it was like 5:30 when the class was supposed to start. And I remember the clock ticked over on my phone to 5:30. And my blood just dropped, my blood pool. Like, I was like, I don't know what's about to happen. I don't remember 45 minutes of that. I don't know what happened. But what I do know, I pulled my mic down, I turned my music on, and I just removed the filter from my brain, took it off, anything that I thought I said. And the years of personal development, the years of perseverance in my own health and fitness and with my own life, and that huge whole transformation stuff, how I talk to myself in my own workouts, was just coming out of my mouth. And after class, everybody was like, how long have you been teaching? Like, I was like, dude, that's my first class I ever taught. What are you talking about? And so from then on, it was just talk about like jumping into cold water and learning how to swim. That's kind of how it happened. And that broke through another barrier in my life of fear, you know, and working on my own confidence. And the repetition of teaching classes. I was teaching 21 group fitness classes a week while I was still going to school at the time, 18 credit hours, and I was prepping for a physique show. So that was 2 workouts a day. And I still somehow got 8 hours of sleep. I don't know how I did it, but I was doing a lot. And all the group fitness classes I was teaching was at other gyms. It wasn't all in one gym. So I was driving 30 minutes everywhere. But I loved it, and I got addicted to it. And then I injured myself because it was way too freaking much on my own body. And I hurt my lower back, and I had to deal with that recovery. I had to stop everything for a solid month, which made me want to kill myself. And that was the first time I realized that I had to take care of myself so that I can take care of other people. And, you know, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't be there. I had to stop classes for a month, and that's a lot to sub, and you know, it hit me hard. That's when I found yoga again, and I started to teach yoga after that point, and just really start healing and recovering my body with my legs. And by that time I had done a physique show, and I remember training for my first physique show, just flexing that muscle of discipline. That's all it was. I was just completely focused on something, on a mission to do a task. That's what physique shows taught me. You know, I did a physique show while I was injured. I got injured a month out of jumping on stage for my first show. Or actually, it was my second show. My first one I don't really count because I didn't know what I was doing. My second show that I was really taking seriously, and I knocked it out of the park. I got third in overall with guys that were in their prime. Like, that was a really cool experience. But it taught me discipline at its max, and I think that you know, there was a lot to say that it helped me out a lot. So then I kept up with group fitness, and then I went through another breakup, and this time I believed some lies that were said about me and internalized them, and I started to hate who I was as a person. And almost instantly, I quit everything. All my group fitness classes, just dropped them. And I went to sell memberships for LA Fitness because they were opening up a gym. And so I took a sales job, and I quit what I was passionate about. And I packed on 30 pounds in a month of binge eating. I completely crippled with self-hate. I just hated myself again, and it was like I reverted back to when it was before, when I was just accepting things as they were, except I freaking hated me. And it took me about a year of just working on trying to stop the binge eating, really. And what did it for me was I did another show, and I was trying to prep for it, and then I was binging, and I was trying to prep, and I was binging, and then I said, I've got 3 weeks till this show, and I keep not responding to people that I'm going, because people are asking me, dude, are you doing the show again? Are you doing the show again? I'm doing the show again. Are you doing the show again? And I'm like, fuck. And so I talked about it with a good friend of mine, and he said, you need a challenge, because I wasn't challenging myself. I'm led by challenges. It's just who I am now. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the show. I think I can do it. So I made a Facebook video. This was before Facebook Live. And I said, it's 3 weeks out. I'm going to be on that stage. You better watch me. Now notice, I'm 15 pounds overweight. So I had 3 weeks to drop 15 pounds and get stage ready. And I fucking did it. That was kind of the spark that got me back to me. And just learning to be healthy again. After that, I kind of dipped back a little bit, but then I was like, you know what? I'm not going to count anything nutrition-wise. I'm just going to freaking be me and get healthy. And I did that, and then by that time, I got a letter in the mail saying that my lease was running up. And I was like, oh, where do I want to live? Wait a second. Where do I want to live? I'm not in a relationship, not in school. I can do fitness anywhere. There's nothing tying me down, and I know my parents will love me no matter what. I want to go live life. Let's do something. And so I decided, literally, it was random. I prayed about it, but Texas kept coming in my head. You need to move to Texas. Texas, I think that'd be pretty cool. I always wanted to be in a big city, so I thought Dallas was the first thing that popped in my head. Did some research after that, and I was like, you know what? It seems like a really cool place to live. Let's do it. And if I don't like it, I'll just move somewhere else. And honestly, Texas pride is what drew me in. I was like, everybody from Texas loves Texas, so I might as well do it. So I literally, this was like a sell your things and follow me moment. I sold everything that I had, packed as much as I could into my car, and drove to Dallas. And I left everything that I knew. I grew up in Memphis, guys. It's like that. All my friends, family, everything. Just, let's try something new. And moved to Dallas. Now that was end of 2015 when I moved here. And then things got really freaking weird. And this is probably this part of the story that not a lot of you guys know. But I feel like I should share it, and I got a point to all of this stuff. So just bear with me. So I get here, and my housing situation panned out to be not what I thought it was. There were 4 of us in a 2-bedroom apartment, and they had their girlfriends over all the time, and some of them were paying rent, and they were using my shit. And so I said, I've got to get out of here freaking fast. So I did. I literally just packed my stuff up one day and left that, and I was like, all right, I don't want to sleep in my car. So I had some friends at the time, and I called them up. I'm like, hey, my housing situation didn't work out. Can I sleep on your couch for a night? Like, I gotta figure this out. And they're like, yeah, sure. So I did that for about 2-3 nights, just different couches, and then I ended up, I think it was Christmas, and I ended up going back to Memphis just for Christmas for a week or 2 weeks, I think it was. And then I went to Houston to visit a friend, and honestly, I think that I was just enjoying the freedom of not living in one spot. I went to Houston for a week, and shout out to my friend Jonathan, got to stay with him for a little bit. That was really fun. Then I went to Austin for a little bit, and I think I was trying to figure out, do I really want to stay in Dallas, because I have that freedom right now. And so I was exploring things, and then I ended up back in Dallas, but I had money. Beachbody wasn't panning out, and all the income in MLM is with duplication, and I wasn't doing that. And even though I was selling the hell out of it, I couldn't duplicate myself, and so I ended up dropping that because it wasn't. It'd been 4 years, and nothing had come of it. I had to look myself in the mirror and go, I love the company, I love the products, I love the people. It isn't serving me. And I'm better than this. And it was a really hard decision that I had to decide and let that go. And then I also realized I haven't been doing group fitness, and I was in a spiritual battle in my fucking head. At this point, I was blessed. One of my friends let me live with her and her son for a while, and I had another group of friends that let me live for about 2 months with them. So I was couch hopping, but there were some nights in the middle of there where I literally slept in my car and cried myself to sleep, or I would go to the grocery store, try to get food, and my card get declined for something that was $4, or parking that was $1. I remember that one time. And that was another time where I hit an emotional threshold again. So just like before, where I changed my health and fitness, I got to the spot where, again, emotionally, I said, fuck it, enough's enough. I cannot freaking live like this. And even though I had no relationship, I had nobody counting on me, it was just me, but that was pathetic. And it felt, it's humbling to ask somebody, hey, can I sleep on your couch tonight? I don't want to live in my car tonight. And so I was doing that. I applied to Equinox for group fitness, and shout out to them because they sped up my hiring process and gave me a lot more classes than they normally do, I believe, in the very beginning. And I think that was potentially me. I don't know what it was, grace of God. The stars lined up, but I started getting income again, and I had my spark, my fire again. And this whole time, through this whole process, I'm journaling it. So I'm going to read this one day, look back and go, wow, like that's amazing. But I still have the journal. Yeah, I was teaching group fitness. That gave me that sense of fight back. To be able to give to somebody else, I was able to help heal myself through giving, not through receiving. And my mindset switched after I realized that. I realized I'm giving to these people. This is healing me. You heal, I believe, through love and through giving. And so that's the lesson I took out of it. I said, if I can feel like this after teaching a class, what if I live my entire life like that? Financially, with friends, everything. Just be a not a taker, and live in abundance. And so I started to. And I went to a Tony Robbins seminar, crewing in Dallas. So this time I didn't have the money to go, but I knew I needed a breakthrough financially. And so I was like, you know what? I've seen all of stuff. I've been to the event before. I needed to get back to that. So I decided to crew it because it was a free ticket. And I knew I wanted to contribute again. I knew I needed to be around those people. And so I went to that, and I went in looking for a financial breakthrough. and I got it. Something in my head, again, snapped. I hit that threshold, and I said, no fucking more. It's time to hustle. And so that's what I did. I got 2 raises with group fitness. I picked up more classes. I was subbing a lot more. I started personal training. I started my online business with my own name under it. And I picked up serving at a place called The Rustic in Uptown Dallas. And I hustled for a 2-month period where I was sleeping 4 hours a night with no days off, 19, 18-hour days. Didn't complain a single time, but I hustled my ass off to become financially stable. And I remember one of my good friends, Devin, let me sleep at his place for a week, and my car broke down. So now I'm walking everywhere. And sleeping on my friend's couch, I had nothing at this point. Nothing. I had all the opportunities in the jobs, but I had nothing. And, you know, it takes 2 weeks for the paychecks to hit and all that stuff. So I'm just praying. I'm just like, I got to get out of here. His roommate said, you got 2 weeks max, and he's got to go. So I was like, all right, I can do this. I need to save up enough money, 2 weeks, to get my own apartment. And so I did. I did just that. I booked every single spare second I had. If I wasn't working as group fitness, personal training, or The Rustic, if I was walking somewhere, I'm on my phone working my online business. If I was on break at whatever, I was working my business online. I was constantly doing something to generate income. And yeah, it paid off because at the 2 week, the day I had enough money, I showed up to get an apartment. I found a hell of a deal thanks to one of my friends on a studio apartment right in the middle of Uptown, close to the gym because I don't have a car, so I need to walk everywhere. And my first night here, I slept on the floor. So I didn't have furniture. I didn't have anything except for my clothes and what you could carry in a briefcase, or a suitcase, I'm sorry. And so that was the start of that. And I kept up that hustle for another month and a half until I started to lose myself. I couldn't think straight because I wasn't sleeping. I was always working. I was always on. And then I was forgetting things and I was underperforming at jobs. And that's when I realized, all right, remember when you broke your back and you fucked up your hips? It's going to happen to your freaking head and your bank account again if you don't take care of yourself. So I had to apply that again, and I had to take care of myself, and I let go of The Rustic because I was, you know, I'd be there from basically noon or 4 o'clock until they closed. It was about 1:30 in the morning, and then I'd have to get up at 5 a.m. to open up at the gym. So, you know, like that hustle, I wasn't sleeping. Yeah. So anyway, I let that go. Even though it was good money, I just needed to take care of me and follow my passions. Because again, I needed to follow my passions. It was needed at the time. It furnished my place, and you know, so I let that go, and then I started with personal training, group fitness more, and all that stuff, and that honestly leads up to today, where I'm extremely blessed for everything that's happened in my life. But that's I didn't share a lot last year because last year was one of the toughest years of my life. And I hinted at some of that stuff. And if you see on my post later today, that was in the middle of me being homeless. And I could have just kept accepting it. But I changed my identity. And I hit a threshold. And I said, enough's enough. I'm not living another second like this. And, you know, I'm doing that again right now, but with my own online business, with health and fitness stuff. So I'm building that, and that is giving me fire. I'm keeping up with group fitness. That's still always for the rest of my life. I learned my lesson with that. I'm not giving that up. And that's so right, Mom. Do what you love, and you never work a day in your life. And I am following that head freaking on. So if I had anything to say to you guys, maybe a couple things. Never give up. Because when I first started my health and fitness journey, everybody was either passive or they literally to my face told me, you're not going to make it. Like, just stop. Or they laughed in my face and said, what are you doing? I was the only one who believed in me for the longest time. And it wasn't just a phase that I was going through. I needed to change my life. When I was, and I'll comment. How about this? You guys that have been watching this long, thank you so much. you stuck with me. I know you maybe have other stuff to do. I'm going to let you out of here in just a second. But in the comments below, I'm going to post a note in September 2006 that I typed out on my phone, talking to myself. It was a self-journal in the middle of one of my workouts where I think I made a shift again that really helped me to break through and get on my own 2 feet. I was having pity parties all the time. I was oh, poor me, I gotta walk everywhere. Oh my God, I'm not getting enough sleep. Oh my God, I'm underperforming. I don't have money. Like, all these things were coming into my head, and after I wrote this note to myself, I saw things from a different light, and I had a different mindset about it. I started to believe, I started to focus on what I wanted. I started to focus on who I was in a good way. I stopped bashing myself, and I started to love myself again. And in turn, I overperformed at what I was doing everywhere else and on my online stuff, and I fucking made it happen. So, hats off to 2017. We're gonna fucking kill it. My online business is booming. We've got tons of people in the test group right now for a program I'm launching. YouTube launched. All this stuff's happening, and I hope that you guys are on the train with me, because as you know, there's no brakes on the train. All right, guys, my phone has 5% battery left, so I've got to cut it. Thank you for listening to my story. That's me up to this present day, and I'm excited to see what the future holds. But look at that note that I wrote to myself. You've got to shift your mindset, guys. Think of it in your own life. What are you trying to change? That's awesome that I may have motivated you or inspired you, but don't just leave it there. You've got to take action. And I think that every single time I've made a decision, I've changed my identity. I made a decision, changed my identity, and I took massive action. And that's what I want for you guys to do. All right, I don't want my phone to die. I got a jet. I love you. # no brakes on this train. And I'll talk to you later. Peace